Mendenhall is a senior advisor at the Free Enterprise Initiative. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
So what's the beef with beef? Why is it so high? People, expect to have a hamburger during, holiday weekends. So can you explain to our viewers why are beef prices so high? Because they're also dealing with high gasoline prices, Tomas.
The stock is very, very low, and you just don't refill animals very quickly. You can't just rev up production when you don't have the stock of animals. That's been a persistent problem, essentially. It's not new for this particular holiday. It's been going on for a while. So that is sort of a constraint on supply. That means short-run supply cannot respond as quickly as long-run supply in these markets, and you see sort of persistent price hikes because of that.
No lab meat, please. I want real beef.
Well, but it's not just consumer spending here. We're also seeing it on the production side over high beef prices. Here's what fifth-generation cattle rancher Steve Lucy had to say.
We're seeing input costs just elevate over the last, 4 or 5 years. So we're trying to, maintain our viability as an industry. And we've also seen a lot of negative, a lot more negative talk about beef now because of the price of beef and that the consumer has to pay.
All right. Well, to use President Trump's term, he's really central casting for being a beef provider there. But data also shows veal prices soaring. And the president is caught between pleasing ranchers like Steve and Republican Party voters who are struggling to pay the bills right now. Your reaction, Alan?
Well, headline inflation is now running at 3.8% year over year, and that is driven mostly by energy. And energy prices have surged about 18% over the past year. And when you're talking about oil and gas, you're talking about every facet of the economy, because when we move goods and we provide services, we use jet fuel, we use gasoline, we have to go here to there. So when gas prices are high, that affects everything. And right now, in every state in the country, the average cost of gasoline is over $4 a gallon. And so, it's affecting every area of the country and, frankly, every area of the world. And so it also affects every sector of the economy.
Well, let's actually get back to those gas prices that you just mentioned. 40 million Americans, according to AAA, will be traveling this Memorial Day weekend. So it seems like, the high gas prices are not going to keep people off the road. But how long can they sustain these high prices at the grocery store as well as at the pump? Tomas?
I think the gas prices for a particular holiday, if that's the one that's coming up, I think that's a little exaggerated. If you look at what it was before Iran war started, it's about $1.50 higher right now. That amounts to about $6 per every 100 miles you travel, essentially. And a lot of people don't travel more than 100 miles for the holidays. Even if you do 1,000 miles, that's $60, which won't hit the middle income, essentially, as an additional cost to what it was before the war. Obviously, the total bill is higher, but that's an additional cost relative to pre-war prices. That won't hit the middle income. It won't even hit the lower middle income. It might hit the very, very bottom, but they don't travel as much either, essentially. And that's why you don't see much of a travel response from this, or it's predicted at least that you don't have as much of a travel response. But you also have 10 times more drivers than people going on plane, essentially. So the plane prices are a little bit elevated now, but they're actually cheaper than last year if you booked early before the war.
Alan, talk to us about the time frame we can expect to see. There are some signs that President Trump are reaching a deal with Washington and Tehran this morning, although we've seen this before. How long will it take for gas prices to come back down when they do reach a deal? Hopefully it's imminent.
Well, I think the short answer is as soon as we can get the Strait of Hormuz open, and we're still waiting to have this conflict come to an end. When that happens, I think the president is exactly right. We're going to see gas gas prices plummet. And basically everybody everywhere is doing whatever they can to try to bring prices down. OPEC has increased oil production quotas. UAE left OPEC. We've got people, we've got countries tapping into oil reserves. You know, we've talked about gas tax holidays. So really every sort of solution that's been proposed is a temporary solution. Really, the permanent fix is to get this conflict done, to put Iran in its place, to get the Strait open, and to get the global economy running again.
Well, it's Kevin Warsh's first official day at the Federal Reserve, Tomas. And the thing is that when you look at the GDP formula, it starts with C, the consumer, which is the majority factor within that equation. And if the consumer is not strong because the sentiment is not high, but there are also high